notes, okay? Then after that, in the order that these are discussed, and I do it in the same order as listed on the activity schedule, okay? You should have the hands-on activity sheets that you've written on after we've been through, the chat, after everything's been graded and you know what the answers, what answers should be written in the activity sheets, okay? Write them down neatly and then put them in there. I don't like people who I don't like when somebody does the activity, then start erasing and then rewriting it. If I see scratch outs and rub outs and things like that, I'll probably take off some credit for not being neat. I want these things absolutely neat so that they don't look like a bunch of chicken scratching when you share this manual with somebody else, okay? These should present the results discussed in the recordings in the order presented in the recordings, and I just followed the list based on the activity schedule, okay? Uh, so, so even if you get, you send in an activity and you get a 1 on it. Hey, you did great. Still go back and watch the recording because sometimes I'll say, well, you all did good, but here's what I want you to say. Because this is a document that ultimately represents the physics that I want you to take with you. And sometimes the terminology I use will be maybe slightly different than what most people submit. So a lot of times I'll give you full credit, even though I may want you to say it later differently, but you won't know that until you actually watch the chat. So before you finish your activity sheet and put it in your notebook, be sure you've been through that chat to be sure you have it presented the way I want you to. Sometimes I'll say, look, here's what I want you to say, regardless of what you've written before that. Okay, so be careful about that. All right. Now, the rest of this has to do pretty much with grading, the kind of things that I want you to think about. Obviously, if you don't follow that little syllabus that I told you in the cover sheet, I'm going to take off some points. These are the maximums that I'll take off, okay? If you have problems with the text, I won't take, for not having your text there or whatever, I won't take off more than 15 points. PowerPoint slides and notes, I won't take off more than 25 points. The activity sheets, complete, neat, accurate, 40 points. The notebook organized correctly, 15 points. So that's the points that I assign. Once, if I go through his activity sheets, got a problem, this activity sheet, and when I get to 40 of those things, then I quit looking at the activity sheets because you lost all the credit that you can get, okay? All right. So 1 point for each of the following elements missing. Okay. The text minus 1 point for each module without the pages from the text covering the unit subject material. Or if there's enough problems with what you have printed there, I may take off a point. Okay. PowerPoint slides. Okay. You should take good notes. Print 3 slides per page. Recommendation. Okay. Remember, it doesn't matter whether you print them in black and white. Okay, but I'll take up to 25 points. Usually, if you don't have I usually don't take off maximum credit, but you're going to lose some credit per module if you don't have your PowerPoints there. Okay. I usually take off about 2 points per module, something like that. That's pretty close to 25 points. Okay. See, 2 points for each unit without notes or additional PowerPoint slides. I may take additional point if you don't have adequate notes. If you don't have any notes or PowerPoints, -2. If you have your PowerPoints but your notes are not adequate or not there, then you're going to lose 1 point per module, okay? Now the activity sheets themselves, okay? You must have the proper sheets in the proper order in the module that they're associated with. What you write there should be neat. You do not have to type these or print these out with a type in them. Handwrite them just neatly. Your answers should be based on the information provided during the chats. Now, you're going to go in there with some information, then you're going to look at the chat and see if you need to modify anything, okay? Your answers should be accurate and grammatically correct. If there's spelling errors, If the grammar is poorly, run-on sentences, poor punctuations, all that, then I could decide they've done this to me. I'm gonna take off some points this time. I may let you get by occasionally, but after a while, it's gonna start cost you some points, okay? Because sometimes I say, well, if there's just one of these grammatical errors in the whole document, chances are I might not take off anything. It just depends what the nature of that error is, okay? Okay, so when I look at these things, 1 point if it's not neat, if there's erasures and strikeouts, and once I've taken that point off, I move on to the next activity sheets. Each activity sheet's worth a point. Has a statement that's incorrect. You didn't quite write the way that I recommended that you do that based on the chat. You have grammar errors, okay. Maximum loss is 40 points, okay. If you got some issues with organization, you didn't put things in the right place. Things are out of order. You want maybe one where you weren't careful and you put your notes in front of your text, you're going to lose a point, okay? Tabs are missing or not marked correctly, point per tab, okay? Maximum points here is 15. Now, if you, during the course of this course, find some other resources, you may get online and find something associated with science, okay? But it's not, doesn't have anything to do with the content I presented, then put you an extra tab, okay? Put additional items or something to indicate that this is information that you want to put in this notebook, okay? And then I won't look at that. It's just convenience for you to have it there. For instance, if the activity sheets that we don't do, okay, remember there's several activities on the DVDs that we don't do, and also there's several of the PDF files associated with those activity sheets. But we're not going to do them, not going to hold you responsible for them. This is the best place to put those sheets, okay, if you want to put them in the notebook, okay? All right. So as I said earlier when I introduced this, is I want people to look at this and say, this is good work. The person took some time with this. It's organized well, and if you put the right statements in there, there's going to be explanations of the types of results that you get when you do these kind of activities. Okay. All right. Well, I think that that's all I have here. So I'll get this out to you, and I think this probably will be the last of these, depending on any comments I get from everybody. Okay, so good luck, and from now on, I want you to work through D2L. Don't send me email messages outside of D2L.